Good afternoon and welcome to Using Activities to Teach Algebra. I am Connie Schaaf, and listed below is my contact information on my phone, and so a lot of times that's easier for me to access than the Friends account. Also, you're more than welcome if you have a question about something that I'm not getting back to you in a timely manner, just send me a text and that will work out great. But this is going to be using activities to teach algebra. The way I've divided this course up into is to different algebra topics. And I'm just going to give you some basic examples of how I use activities to teach this topic. And then I'm going to ask you guys to share your activities that you do. And hopefully we can find enough activities that something will work for everyone. So probably most of you guys have used Algebra Tiles at some level. But this is just, I thought, a fairly good site that you can look at how to teach solving equations. And I found the process that she showed to be really well. And it was easier for me to just pull this up than to try to make my own slides. So here's an example. This, of course, is just adding like terms on that with your Algebra Tiles. But I think when you're using Algebra Tiles and the kids being able to see even the colors and the sizes and the shapes definitely helps them to be able to add the like terms. Now, a lot of times I don't actually use tiles. Sometimes I just have like poker chips with things written on them, or different objects in which there's different sizes so that they see different colors and different sizes. But let's get down to the equation piece of it. So again, here is solving just a basic equation, showing the kids how that you have 3 x's and 2 1's, and you have 1 x and 3 negatives in this case, so your color is different. Then of course we come down and talk about the wanting to, get rid of your 2 positive ones, and therefore we have to do 2 negative ones. And like I say, sometimes I use like poker chips with this, in which they have maybe red ones and black ones, or red ones and white ones, and they have to cancel each other out. Okay, and so therefore if they put the 2 extra here, they've got to put the 2 extra on the other side, and then of course they cancel and simplify, and then we can do the same thing with the x's and so forth. So again, Algebra Tiles, like I said, I'm not going to go into all of it. If you want to know more, if you're not familiar with Algebra Tiles, please look at this site. It's an excellent site for you to go in and look at. So what I'm going to talk about is, okay, so you've introduced the topic and the kids have worked problems. How do you make them, or how do you have them solve equations without it just being, here's a worksheet, do 50 problems, because we all know we're going to get bored with that. So this is where the activities come in, that we want to just kind of spice things up a little bit. Now I will tell you, when I am introducing topics, let me just kind of go back to that. One of the things that I really like to do is whiteboard. So if you're in my classroom, you really don't use tons of paper sometimes. We put the whiteboards there, and so I have the kids whiteboard so that I can walk around the room and I can see really easily what they're doing on a whiteboard versus putting it on just paper. You can either use the small whiteboards that are 8.5 by 11 or so, and in which each one does their own, or if you want to get the big whiteboards in which you cut them into the 2 feet by 3 feet pieces, that works great also. If I do that, then what I do is I have like 4 kids all work together and around the sides of the board. I do suggest that they don't look at the others, but also it does, though, make them feel a little bit more comfortable that if they're working in a group as they're learning here, that they can ask for help or kind of look to see what somebody else is doing. Of course, if you notice that a kid is constantly looking at someone else's, you're going to want to take, and do something with that. But that's one of the things, using whiteboards. I'm a big whiteboard person. But in terms of activities, here's one that I like to do, especially again to differentiate for the kids. And so what I will do is I will make up, this is just an example, but I would take problems and I would divide them into 1-point problems, 2-point problems, and 3-point problems, again according to difficulty level. And then what I would tell the kids, and I just call this make 10. But you could do whatever you want to. Make 10, make 20, make 30, whatever. You don't want to do too many. So what I do is I would maybe give them 4 of each kind, okay, and say make 10. I would never make it so that they can choose. I wouldn't say make 10 and give them 10 one-point problems, because then they might just do that. Or, you know, give them 5 2-point problems or so forth. I'm going to give them a small enough amount that they're going to have to pick from each category. But their choice is to make 10, and then they get to choose which problems they want to do. So if you are, you know, if I have, let's say I had 4 of each, and my student chose to do 4 of the 1 points, that's only 4 points. Now they're going to have to bump up. And so then they could just do 1 point and 2 point problems and still get their 10. They could never have to get to the 3 point problems. But what they start realizing is that they're going to have to do a lot more problems. And so a lot of times they'll try that. And, you know, when I tell them, you know, trying a 3 point is not going to hurt you. You know, if you don't get it right, you just have to back down and find another problem or try again. Your strong students that want to be challenged, they're going to go straight to the 3 point problems. And, you know, like if I gave 4, they'd have to do all 4 of them to get their 10 points. You know, they're going to have to do over. Some of them may just do 3 of those and get 9 points and then back down to a small one, whatever. But letting them have a choice in what they do. And so again, I like the make 10. So I give them the make 10, and then I just put up another slide with the same type of things on it. And you could slowly decrease if you wanted to. So maybe the first slide of make 10 might have 5 of each one of them, and the next one only has 4, and the next one only has 3. So forth, so that they have to do different categories. So that's my make 10. I like it, and it gives the kids choice. Now, another activity that I like to do with the kids is I have who has. And you've probably seen this before, and you can find some of those even on Teacher Pay Teachers already made up, or just take your textbook and do it real quick. You could do it in order from your textbook, you know, and the key is to make sure, though, that you do them in order so that your last one, your last problem's answer will come back to the top here. So you do want to make it. If you have any questions about how to make those, then definitely I can help you out there. But you can find a lot of them already made. The thing that I have done with this one is sometimes I'll do that as a quick check in class to make sure everybody can do it. You got to make up enough that everybody, that's the key too. You also have to have enough just for your class. So if you have multiple classes with multiple number of kids, you're going to have to either give some of them 2 or somehow figure out how it makes it all the way around. Another one, so that you don't have to do that I like to do also, is I call it my gallery walk. I spelled that wrong. But on G-A-L, I don't know how to spell gallery, obviously. So, but what I do is the same problem. Instead of I have who has, sorry, I updated the other one and didn't take these off. But what I do is I just give it to look like this. Again, you can find these on Teacher Pay Teachers if you don't want to make your own, but they're simple to make. You just get I get just an 8.5 by 11 sheet. You wouldn't even have to do that. I laminate mine so I can reuse them every year. So I just grab them and put them up on the wall. I like my students being able to get up and move around. So for me, I would either put this around the room, or what I did in my school was I just put them out in the hallway right beside my room down the hallway, and so that the kids could just walk around and they knew to be quiet and worked, and it was never a problem or an issue. So that's just, again, another activity to do with the kids. This one, again, I like because you get the kids up and you get to moving them around. Okay, so this one is actually a Desmos activity. If you've never worked with Desmos, definitely it's something to check out. I'll talk a lot about Desmos in here. This one is called a card sort. They are super easy for you to make up on your own and have kids do. This is just one that I pulled up. I'll actually give you a spreadsheet link in which all the ones that I show you are linked on there. So this one is just a translation one, and it also gives you a picture representation. So twice the sum of 4 and a number. So then they have to look for it. And whoops, sorry, didn't mean to do that. So they just drag these, okay, and they match them together. See how that works on there. And then they would have to find again, all the different things. And you could, I'm just going to drag some over and show you how it works. You just click them on there and so forth. So clicks down. Whoops, that one's not clicking on. So that's kind of a fun one to do. Here's another one on here. And again, these are listed on there. This one is which one doesn't belong. And again, the first thing they just do has the sketch. So that's just kind of an introduction to it. But then it's which one doesn't belong. And this again requires higher order thinking then on their solving equations. So this is taking that basic maybe that we did earlier with the algebra tiles and the gallery walk and the make 10. And now we're going to start taking it into deeper context than what you might have. And so which one doesn't belong? And they have to explain their reasoning. Now, on which ones don't belong, these typically don't necessarily have a specific answer. What it is can the kids justify their reasoning of why they think the one that they're picking does not belong? So that's the good part about this, is teaches reasoning skills and justification. And again, which of these does not belong? Why do you think? So they're going to actually type it in. And it says, usually says the blue equation doesn't belong because it has no solution. Would you agree or disagree? So see, there's taking it a whole nother step. Instead of me, I just looked at it on the surface. This person is saying, hey, I solved each one of them, and this one I know doesn't have a solution. And, true or false. Well, in this case, do you agree or disagree? But again, it's still that making them think and taking it a step further. So that's an excellent one again to do. Let's see, I have several of these here. Here's a really good one on more of our story problems, and we all had that story problem where it wants to know, if you have a board that is 72 feet long and you want to divide it into 3 equal spaces, write the equation. Well, what this does is it just takes that problem and it starts making them think. First, they're going to just move it on their own, okay? They're going to take it and try to divide it into 3 equal spaces, okay? And then see if it works. And this one says, oh, I can't get in, okay? And, it's going to take it through. We're going to do it again. Then we're going to do it again with wider blocks in here. Again, making them really think about it and do some movement. And then it says, suppose you wanted to figure out the exact space between no. Okay? And so now we're going to start making them think in terms of writing an equation. Okay, now we're going more to a textbook problem. But it's made them see and actually touch and now look. Okay? So you have on your sheet here sets of them that you can go in and look on your own, or maybe go to Desmos and look up some, or maybe go to Teacher Pay Teachers and look up some of their linear equations. Oh, there was one I want to do. This one here. Is this the right one? That one's the harder one. Let me just a second. I want to find. Okay, so here is another one that is really good, and this is open middle. Again, it's listed on there. It's open middle. And this one, they're going to use the numbers 0 to 9, at most 1 each time. Fill in the boxes to write to 3 equations whose sum is a -1/2. Again, higher level thinking than just giving them the problem to do on their own. I take my equations, I just take this piece here, and I print it out and put it on, because you can hit the print button, print it out. Give an example here, and that way the kids can write on it. Okay, and maybe I'll do this as stations around the room in which they have to go through and do, and then maybe there's a sheet of paper that they write it down. Or you can just, give them one. You put it on the screen and let them decide. They can work together in groups or separate, according to your kids. But that's a good one to do. That is open middle. Okay, so that is some linear equation ones. Again, I want you to look at the spreadsheet, look at some of the others that are given, and I want you to find some activities or tell us something that you do when you're teaching linear equations, how to solve them, that works great for your kids, gets them engaged, gets them eager, Again, also start thinking about application problems and how would you also teaching them how to translate equations and so forth. How would you do that?